Hi, my name is Jaime Lugo, and today I'm going to be showing you how to replace a headlight bulb. In this case, we're working with sealed beam headlights. So I'm going to have to take this whole headlight housing out in order to replace the headlight because the actual bulb isn't replaceable. So if I'm going to change out the whole bulb, I have to change out the whole housing. So today I'm going to show you guys how to change out this housing, and I'm going to also show you how a headlight works. So first, I'm going to show you guys how a headlight works. So a headlight works like this. There's 2 points, right? Power comes in from this point. We'll say this side's positive and this side is negative. Power comes in from here, comes up, and the headlight, this is how a headlight is represented in a diagram. There's here's the wire it comes up, and usually it's like a little squiggle, and then from here down. Something like that, something roughly, is how a light is represented. And what happens is electricity flows from one side, we're going to say that electricity is flowing from the positive side, through this filament, which is actually made out of tungsten. And what happens is this tungsten creates excessive resistance, and that resistance causes the tungsten to glow. And once it glows, it creates a light. Then from there, the electricity passes through there to the tungsten and out through the other side to the negative side. So that is how that's simply how a bulb works. Now I'm going to explain to you how the headlight circuit works. So we're going to start here at the very beginning, at the battery. I already drew out a battery. There's positive, there's negative. So this is the battery. So now from the battery, I'm going to go out, and we're going to add a fuse. You want to protect the system. So we're going to add a fuse. Here's a fuse, right? There's a fuse, so in case the system gets overloaded, this fuse will pop instead of wires being burned or headlights being burned out, etc. Right? So now, from this fuse, this wire goes inside of the cabin, into the car, and it goes to a switch. It goes to a two-stage switch. So that means there's two positions on the switch. There's a middle position and a complete full out position. So like we're going to represent that like this, like two switches. One and two. We're going to draw out the switch. This is how a switch is normally drawn. And finish this up. And now the circuit goes from the battery to the fuse, and from the fuse to a two-stage switch. So let's label these fuse and two-stage switch. And now from here we're gonna go let's say this is our main uh, our main switch. This is gonna turn on the headlights, and this is gonna turn on the running lights. So from here, we're gonna go down. We're gonna go out, right? And from here, there's two headlights. So let's draw out these headlights. Let's start the first one here before we even connect it. Since these lights have a running light feature, it's gonna have 3 points of contact. So two are going to be main power, or two are going to be power, and one's going to be ground. We're going to draw, just like the other one, up little squiggly lines like that, kind of like a filament inside an actual bulb. And we're going to draw another right next to it. Same thing. It doesn't have to be exact, it can be something rough. And now the ground is from the middle down, and the ground actually grounds out to the body of the car. And now what we're going to do is we're going to connect this main power to one side of each of these. There's one. From there, there's two. So now this main switch is connected to the lights, right? The main on switch, and it will turn on these lights. It'll turn them on completely. Now this is gonna go, this is the running light switch. Now we're gonna connect this one. Same concept, runs across. I'm not gonna make them cross here to make it a little clearer. This way. Just like that. And since this one I want to make it a little more clear as to where it's connecting, I'm actually gonna make it like a little bridge. From there, go across. This in this one, I don't need to do that. And now the running light switch and the main headlight switch are connected. But now there's also the high beam switch. So now what I'm going to do is the high beam switch is going to connect to the main headlight switch. So what's going to happen is I'm actually going to create another line over here, and this is for the high beam. Like that. And we're going to label this high beam. So this is the high beam switch. So what happens is, I forgot to draw over here actually, the ground. The negative terminal on the battery is actually going to connect to the body of the car, making the body of the car ground. So now that is ground. So what happens is electricity flows from the positive post through a fuse, and from this fuse out to a two-stage switch. A two-stage switch, then you yourself, the operator, can actually choose which you'd like to connect. You can connect either the full on switch, or you can connect the running light switch. And then from there, let's say we turn on the full on light switch. It goes down, electricity is going to flow through here, down this way, and it's going to flow through this small portion of the light and out into ground. The same goes for the other light. Flows from here all the way across this little portion of the light and down. Now, if you want to turn on the running light switch as well, what happens is power is going to go from the battery, across the fuse, through the switch, across to the other side of the bulb, and light up this other side of the bulb. And same goes for the other side. And what happens here, if you decide to turn your high beams on, what you're doing is actually you're lessening the resistance here, so that this can actually glow brighter. So what happens is you press a button, and it reduces the resistance on this side of each bulb, and it actually makes the bulb glow brighter, and it actually aims it differently somehow. Actually, I'm not very sure on that, but it does that. And that is the very basics of how this circuit works. I would like to disclose that the information I got for the schematic I got from my Shilton's manual, which is for my car, a 1985 Jeep CJ7. I found it right here. So this is where I found the actual schematic. It's very basic. It's very similar to mine. Just high beams, main power, dimmer switch here, bam, everything. That's where I got my information from. So I'd just like to disclose this is where I got most of my information for the schematic. So now that we know how the circuit to this light works, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take it out. We have to take out the whole housing in order to replace the bulb. So all we're really gonna need is a Phillips head screwdriver, and we're gonna remove this screw, this screw down here, and there's another screw right over here. We're gonna remove those four, and this whole housing should come off. Once it's off, there's gonna be a plug in the back, or that I have to disconnect, and once it's disconnected, the whole housing comes out. Do not mess with these screws here. This screw here actually is to aim the headlight, so if you have a good alignment, you might not want to mess with that, especially if it's maybe just a bad connection that you may have. So don't mess with this screw or this screw. It's another aiming screw. So just avoid those and just focus on these main four. So start with this right here. The headlight might want to start falling out, so you want to be a little careful with that. Even though there's one more screw holding it down, you might want to hold the housing. You don't want it to fall, especially if it's just a bad connection and not a burnt out bulb. Then you don't want to have to buy a whole new housing if it's just a bad connection, just because you dropped the housing. Now that that's off, you can put my screwdriver down. The headlight comes out, but now there's a connection in the back. This connection here, all you have to do, well, on different cars may be different. On this car, luckily I have no clip that holds it on, so all I have to really do is wiggle it a little. You don't want to damage the plugs, and try your best to get the plug off. Feel it coming off, and just like that, plug is off, and we got the whole housing off. I could potentially remove this ring and get the glass off if I wanted to do something inside of the housing, but in this case I'm going to replace this whole thing, so I might as well just throw this out and put another one in. But in this case, this bulb is so good, so I'm gonna just put this back on, and we should be fine. We should be good to go. So first you plug this in. Make sure it plugs in. Want to make sure you plug it in correctly. This one, it's kind of hard to get it wrong. There's only 3 prongs, just 3 prongs here, so there's only really one way that it'll go on. So, and before you put it on, you want to make sure there's no corrosion. If you see any corrosion, like if you see any sort of melted plastic or any corrosion on the connectors, you might want to either replace this connector or try to clean them up as best as you can. In this case, mine look fine, so I'm just gonna plug mine back in. Make sure it's seated all the way. Inside. Looks like it's pretty well seated. Now what I'm gonna do is let's put this back in. Make sure it sits flush, like up against all the holes. It's flush, all the holes line up. So now I'm gonna put in these screws finger tight first. I want to make sure they're going in straight and not crooked. I don't want to strip out these threads. Okay, cool. And now that they're all in, now I can just finish it up with the screwdriver. Tighten them down. And there you go. Successfully removed and put on the headlight housing. Now what we're going to do is we're going to test whether it works or not. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go around into the car and we're going to turn the headlight switch on and see if they come on. So now we go inside and we go to our switch. This is my light switch in this car, and it's a 2-stage switch. So this is the first click is the running lights and the inside accessories like the gauge lights and such, and the second is my headlights. So now that that is on, go around. I can already tell my side marker is on, and everything's on. Headlight works, and we have successfully removed and replaced a headlight on this old CJ7.